Well, hello. Welcome to the Hcast episode 34. I hope you are all well on this warm day in the UK. We're finally getting some warm weather. So soz about the attire. But for all those that are not off-put and your eyes are not burning in the back of your skull like Raiders from the Lost Ark or Raiders of the Lost Ark, we're here to talk about so much today with my illustrious panel. We've got Culture Casino. We, of course, have Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge, After Dark, and Midnight's Edge as well. But we've got loads to cover today, ladies and gents. We've got Brie Larson refusing to slam Johnny Depp at Cannes Festival. We've got Brie Larson talking about Marvel movies premiering at Cannes Festival. We've got Disney's legal troubles. We've got Fast X title releases. We've got so much. So much. We've got Arnold Schwarzenegger confirming he's done as Terminator. Maybe. I doubt that because obviously he probably sold his likeness. But there is so much going on today, ladies and gents. We've got an action-packed stream for you all. I hope you're all well. If you are, give the video a thumbs up. Why not? Now, if you don't know what we do here, this is, of course, my live podcast. And this podcast gets chopped up into little clips and put on a second channel, along with the full stream episodes as well. This is the Hcast, and they go over on Missed Reviews live archives. If you want to interact with us, you want to support, you want to show, you chime in, put your 2 cents in with this as well, then super chats are the way to do that. What we do, we've got so much to cover, but what we do at the end of every single topic, regardless whether it's related to the topic or not, we take your questions, your comments via the super chats. So it's a really good way to chime in, get your voice heard, and just sort of chime in, basically. So if you're not already subscribed to the second channel, link is in the description box, along with everyone's channel here as well. How are we all doing? Culture, you all right?
I'm wonderful. Yeah, no, I got to wait a week. I got to wait a week for a new fridge part or two. 2 fans need to be replaced. So I'm without a main kitchen fridge. But
it's a good thing you're not a serial killer.
True.
That's the freezer job, mate. Come on now. Don't.
Well, and if it's the same machine in most cases.
No. I got a big old chest freezer.
Oh, you got a chest freezer. Well, why don't you just broadcast that you're a serial killer while you're at it?
I'm good.
I think we've all done that.
Serial killer would have that.
How are you doing, Tom?
I'm spicy today. I've been up early. Been a long week for me already, but I'm here to talk about some news. Excited.
Nudes? Yeah. Who's nude?
No nudes, as in noodles.
Oh.
No, Tom. Fuck it out, Tom.
No.
It's not that kind of show.
I didn't have the right.
I thought it was a request.
No.
Oh, super funny. So yeah, guys, we do have one other panelist joining us a little bit later in the show. He's always late, so when he does drop in, give him some stick. But that is Nick from Echo Base Network. Again, his channel will be linked down below as well. So let's take a look at this. I think what we'll do first and foremost is we'll look at Disney's legal troubles straight away, and I think first and foremost, let's look at the fact that Bob Chapek, as well as Disney, has been singled out in a shareholder lawsuit over things we have been saying time and time again. Whenever they do the earnings calls, whenever they do the shareholder calls, we always say this stuff. We're like, some of this doesn't really add up. Some of it sounds like they're manipulating things. Oh, and lo and behold, they're now being sued for it, for misleading streaming losses over exactly what we have said before. So let's take a look, right? A shareholder is suing former CEO, and this is unusual because normally, like, companies get sued, but not individuals. So the former CEO is being sued, along with Disney, along with former executive Kareem Daniel, and the current CFO, Christy McCarthy, who is slated as being next CEO material. The prodigy of Bob Iger, and basically being sued for violations of securities law for misleading statements about Disney Plus and the health of the streaming business. So there was a lawsuit filed by a local 272 labor management pension fund in Central District of California. And here's the complaint, seeking a jury trial. We're not going to look at the overall complaint, but here's the headline.
It's long.
Yeah, it's really long. But this is everything we've been saying. So defendants throughout the class period made false and or misleading statements and or failed to disclose that Disney Plus was suffering decelerating subscriber growth, losses, and cost overruns. The true costs incurred in connection with Disney Plus have been concealed by Disney executives. We have literally said this. We've gone on record and we've literally said this before.
Yep.
By debuting certain content intended for Disney Plus initially on Disney's legacy distribution channels and then making the shows available on Disney Plus thereafter to improperly shift costs out of the Disney Plus segment, even though they're made for Disney Plus. So you got profit and loss. It will come under Disney Plus, but they're like, we'll just mask this. That's literally what they're doing. They're just masking it by debuting it elsewhere and then putting it on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I'd say there could be arguments made the other way too, but go on. I'm interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And so basically, Disney had made platform distribution decisions based not on consumer preference, consumer behavior, or the desire to maximize the size of audience for the content as represented, but based on the desire to hide the full costs of building Disney Plus's content library. And Disney was not on track to achieve even the reduced 2024 Disney Plus paid global subscriber and profitability targets. Such targets were not achievable, and such estimates lacked a reasonable basis in fact.
Yeah.
Fucking mic drop. What do we think of that? Because everything we've been saying for ages.
Right. Yeah. No, it's 110% everything that each one of us and more have been saying for so long. Yeah.
Well, and then you had Bob unable to keep his mouth closed, a week ago, coming out and saying that, a lot of the content we made didn't generate subscriber numbers. Well, no crap. And then they reiterate that here in this suit. He just came out and said it.
Yeah.
Good gravy.
So funny. It's so funny.
Oh, 39 pages, which means there's plenty of material in here. And I mean, these are just the primary items, right? That's what we're getting. This is the summary, that they seek to prove in trial, which they're going to, and they're going to try to get this thing thrown out of court. But I'm going to tell you, consumer lawsuits, especially when it comes from shareholders now, they're being taken rather seriously. This looks like a problem.
So is this something you actually think they may have a chance of getting? Because I was curious if they would even have a shot. I mean, I believe them. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't, because like you guys said, we've seen all the evidence in the world that we need to see, and we're not even close to, a lot of these folks who have more access to some of this stuff. But usually these kind of, because I remember, wasn't there a case like this a year or two ago, Culture, similar to this, that just kind of went nowhere?
No, actually, there's a live case that came out last year, December.
Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, I was gonna say I hadn't heard nothing about it.
That's another shareholder case. It's in a different place, and that one I think was filed. I don't think it was filed in California, but it's a 22-page filing from this guy named Kenneth Simone, who's a substantial investor, and he's seeking. He's seeking records is what he's seeking. And if he gets that kind of transparency, there's going to be a real problem. He is demanding, because of the don't say gay thing that they were saying, the parental rights bill, which is what it was, that they need to turn over their internal records about its opposition to a law limiting the instruction.
No. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about, this was a different one.
Okay.
Related. It was very similar to this. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it was related to this initial filing, but.
Well, I mean, the books and records they go after all the time when they have a financial complaint, but go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, but no, they've been getting sued pretty regular by people and stockholders. And and Nelson Peltz just upped his investment in Disney.
Did he? I did not know that.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the.
Why on earth would he do that?
I'm trying to find the SEC filing. As soon as I find that, and I verify
that means he knows something we don't. That's why.
that's got to be that's got to be a hostile move, I would imagine.
It
Surely,
is.
Yeah.
Well, he
has
was
to
done.
be.
Look, Disney lied to him. And he didn't get all of what he wanted. I think he really is going to go after all of what he wants now, and he's got friends with lots of money. And Ike Perlmutter's so pissed off. I mean, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it does relate to this. And again, they're going to have an easy time with this, Nate, because, like I said, and I just said it. Iger just admitted none of the content he made drove subscribers. He came out and said it.
Yeah.
Well, they're all admitting it's a loss leader finally, which is what we've been saying from the start.
Yeah. Well, they say this anyway, just to put it into perspective. Attempted class action suits are filed frequently when share prices fall sharply, and often they don't advance. A specialized law firm brings the case on behalf of one or more stockholders. In this case, seeking a larger shareholder to join as lead plaintiff, and other holders to adhere to the suit as well. A judge must approve the class action status. While similar in so many ways to so many of the shareholder suits, this case is somewhat notable for calling out high-profile executives and the streaming red ink that's been the talk of the entertainment industry for the past year and continues to grab headlines. So it's pretty particular. It's pretty specific.
Well, and another thing I could see is if this actually gains any kind of momentum, I could see a lot of other investors for the other studios going after them over their streaming business.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got HBO Max. I mean, that's
well, especially Paramount. I was thinking of.
Yeah, true. Well, that's
HBO Max is like the only one that might have a chance and like not really because they have. I think they've managed to hit most of their.
But I think this is more oriented around public statements made by the executives.
That are that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't remember Zaslav going off in the in certain directions. I'd have to go look, but.
As far as I'm aware, from anything we've heard of, like Warner Brothers calls,
WB's hit over expectations. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Well, it's not even that, right? Like it's more specifically is that they're very honest. Like, and you see that because the headlines are not great. They're like, yeah, we're losing money. Yeah.
Well, Zaslav hasn't been candy coating anything. You're right. No, that's very true.
Exactly. And this is what they're going after. They're going after the fact that it's manipulation, isn't it? So the share, it's misleading information being pushed out there, and then their investment in Disney suffers as a result of that.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going after them, because it's damages based around that. But it's not good. Like it's not good. I mean, it's hilarious because we've been saying this for ages. We're like, they're pushing stuff out made for Disney Plus, but put it on other platforms. And now, I mean, I remember specifically
we did talk about it that they were taking like a series and they were putting the first episode on what do they call Freeform, which is, I guess, we used to be Disney Family, and then they would move the balance of it over to Disney Plus. Again,
they hide the cost by putting it somewhere else first, even though it was made for and under the remit of a Disney Plus. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is. It's blatant manipulation. I know Tom was talking about it at length. I mean, we definitely covered it here more than a few times. That's how they're bearing the cost for this. Imagine that they came up with a record like $1.47 billion in wasted money on streaming for Disney Plus in one earnings call. Holy crap. And if that wasn't everything, if they had shunted more responsibility over to Freeform or something else,
that is stated in this lawsuit, that 1.47 billion.
This is one of those times they're not going to be able to hide it.
But
it feels like walls are kind of caving in, right? Between the $6 billion deal, the whistleblower.
Yeah.
The cadre or whatever word you want to put in there of lawsuits they're facing.
Yeah.
The horrible last two earnings calls and stuff
ripped
like that
apart by shareholders.
And shareholder calls was just, oh God. Like at this point, I mean,
so bad.
They're just basically the only thing you need now is like another Me Too incident or something like that high up in the ranks to really make this cook. Right? Like it would make it just like of course, the cherry on the top here,
But don't you think that McCarthy's like the person in big trouble now?
The current CFO, isn't she? So
Yeah.
so not only what it's interesting, isn't it? So like Disney as a unit are being sued in this lawsuit.
Yeah.
Bob Chapek has been singled out. So the headlines are like Bob Chapek is sued. No, Disney is actually being sued as well. But the only person that's still there is McCarthy.
Yeah.
So it's not going to look great on her at all because she's being painted as the future CEO.
And she's the only constant.
Mm.
And she's responsible
that is true, actually.
for financial reporting. And she's consulted by the CEO before they make any statements of guidance.
And she was the one that ousted Bob Chapek as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was definitely, centered in that. Indeed. Wow. Yeah.
God, what a shit show. What an absolute shit show.
She's not going to be the CEO. This is not good.
No. Absolute hilarious. I mean, it is hilarious. It's one of those things you just like, couldn't have happened to a worse company. Who cares? I don't, it's stuff we've all been saying for so long, and now it comes in the headlines. You're like, oh okay then. This is interesting. It's actually happening.
Isn't this the part of the show where Razor Fist spins around in a chair and says, "F you, I was right. F you."
Yeah. Oh, super funny. Super funny. Yeah, couldn't happen to a worse company. Let's be honest. So we do actually have a super chat that dropped in, super sticker in there, which was from Al Humphreys. So thank you so much for that, my dude, for £5. Saying keep it up. Thank you so much, my dude. And Olaf Van S, who is our mod here on the channel, thank you so much for doing great work. Actually gifted Mr. H membership of the channel, so thank you so much for that as well. If you want to join in the conversation, super chats are the way to do it. If you want to support the show, super chats, memberships, all that good stuff linked down below. I think in the description box, memberships are there. They should be. So from one legal trouble to another,
oh boy,
Disney has now asked a Florida court to toss the lawsuit brought by Ron DeSantis' handpicked board over Walt Disney World jurisdiction. I don't think this is going to go anywhere.
No.
As in, I don't think Florida court is going to toss this lawsuit.
No.
So this is obviously the ongoing situation between Governor Ron DeSantis, and Disney. And, loads of people are like, well, Ron DeSantis should be doing this and blah, blah, blah. It's really important to note, you can say that a company has its right to free speech and things like that. Sure, fine. They don't actually have a right to these special privileges, though. That's always important to note whenever we're talking about this stuff. So when we talk about the rights and things like that of companies, they might have a right to free speech. Sure, they're not free from a certain element of consequence around that freedom of speech. But also they don't have a right to the incredibly special privileges that they had and still currently kind of have around this. So the Walt Disney Company is asking a judge to dismiss or stay a state lawsuit brought by the special district that oversees its Florida resort property. In a motion filed in Florida State Court in Orange County, we're not going to read it. Disney called the lawsuit moot. Of course you would. Also claimed that state law requires that the state court sideline the litigation until the company's own federal case against Governor Ron DeSantis is resolved. So here's a little bit of it. Disney's earlier filed and earlier served federal action is pending between substantially the same parties, and it involves substantially overlapping issues. In these circumstances, controlling precedents provide that the court lacks discretion to proceed with this case. Disney regrets that it is compelled to litigate these issues anywhere, but the federal action is the proper vehicle for first hearing the parties' dispute. So Disney sued DeSantis in federal court last month over the governor's effort to strip the company of control of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, the special district that has overseen its Florida property for the past 55 years and appointed his own members. Disney said that DeSantis' efforts violated its First Amendment and other constitutional rights because it was done in retaliation for the company's opposition to a state parental rights bill. Known as the don't say it's not known as that. Okay, that is literally just ridiculous, and I'm not gonna placate to that nonsense. But after the lawsuit was filed, the governor appointees to the special district, newly named the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, filed their own lawsuit against the company in state court. They want a judge to declare a set of Disney development agreements with the special district void and unenforceable, and the agreements, which ensure that the company still maintained autonomy on what gets built on its property and surrounding land, were approved by the Reedy Creek Special District just weeks before it passed from Disney's control to the state. DeSantis recently signed a bill that voided Disney's development contracts and prohibited the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District from complying with them. In their most recent motion, this is amazing, it cracks me up so much, Disney's attorneys argued that DeSantis' action makes any order this court could issue in either party's favor legally irrelevant.
Yes.
I mean, there's a little bit more, but let's just get your thoughts, because it just cracks me right up. It all just cracks me right up. Tom, we haven't heard from you. What are your thoughts on this, mate?
I think they're still grasping for straws here when it comes to Disney. If they really thought they had this in the bag, we wouldn't be seeing all these maneuvers and quick, filings of this, that, and the other. They are so desperate at this point to get out of this trouble they're in. Because let's be real here, they already lost Reedy Creek. It's not like they're fighting to keep it. It's gone. So what they're suing for is, they're claiming damages in this sense. And it's like, how can you claim damages for something that wasn't technically Disney in the first place, but yet you're trying to assimilate it as Disney, and that is not how this works. And as we say all the time, they must have some fancy California, New York lawyers working for them that have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yep.
Because for the desperate moves they're making and the stupidity that's coming out of them is like they're basically making DeSantis's case for him. And the basis for what we know of this is, Andrew from Legal Mindset, who actually used to work in these districts, right? He understands how this stuff works. He knows these laws. He's the type of guy that you would go to when you were dealing with this kind of situation. And he flat out said that Disney's desperate moves right now are hurting them more than anything, from what it sounds like. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out in court. But I mean, just to me, it's like they were in a better place when Chapek was behind the scenes talking to DeSantis before he was ousted than when Bob Iger came in. Because from what we've heard, Santos has said he hasn't heard boo from Disney since then. So what incentive does he have to work with Disney here? And all Disney's doing is making idle threats in the press. So he turned around and he made some joking idle threats back, and they panicked. They panicked like little children because they know they're in trouble. They know they're in.
Didn't he recently say that like Disney's waging a jihad against them or something like that, which was very comical? Crack me right up, because people are like, "Oh, you can't say that word." Yeah, you can.
Why not?
I mean, like that is completely. It's completely appropriate language to use. Completely appropriate language to use.
This is a typical Disney tactic. It's always when it's a political tactic. It's something I've talked about multiple times. Delay. If you have no power,
they love delaying. Sorry to interrupt. So just to throw this out there, they actually did this, and they tried to litigate their way out of Jim and John Thomas getting the rights back to Predator.
Yeah.
And so they just keep delay. It is a standard Disney tactic. They always do this.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time again. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just when they know they have no power, when they know they're likely to lose, they delay. That's all they do. They'll delay to the point where somebody dies because of old age. They are that bad. And again, if you lack power, that's the last strategy you have. They don't have power in this situation. They actually, if they, based on the statements, and again, this is Bob talking way too much. If they actually get what they believe they deserve, they're in trouble for securities fraud, because Reedy Creek and Disney are not supposed to be one and the same. In fact, they're legally prevented from being so.
And he came out on, it was a shareholder call, wasn't it? He was like, blah, 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 blah. We do this. Like, whoa.
It's like,
Shouldn't
you
be saying that,
can't
mate.
do that. It's like,
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. But again, this is just one of many legal issues Disney's facing. So they've obviously got this issue. They've got the previous issue that we just discussed. They're being sued by the Acolyte showrunner, producer, whoever. They were being sued by Victoria Alonso. They talked big over there, and then they've had to settle into the tune of millions and millions. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's an absolute shit show. It's an absolute shit show. And where culture's just dipped out. So, Tom, any sort of closing thoughts there, mate?
Like I said, we're gonna have to wait and see how this rolls. But at this point, I think all the person with all the cards in his hand right now are DeSantis, basically, and Disney's got a bunch of nothing. They can bluff all they want, and DeSantis called their bluff initially, and
I love that.
This is going to be an interesting situation going forward to see how it pans out. So yeah, it's about all I can say about it until we know more.
It certainly will be. Certainly will be. Absolutely hilarious. It does crack me up. So, I don't think we actually have any other. Apparently, someone's just knocking over my desk there. Making random noises. I don't think we. Oh no, yeah. So again, guys, if you want, please do hit the thumbs up button on your way in here. We've got 400 odd people here in the stream, so please do hit that thumbs up button on your way in. If you want to join in the conversation, please do use the super chat function. We will get to all of your comments, your questions. It doesn't even have to be about what we're talking about. It can be about anything, guys. We'll get to that at the end of each topic. And if you want to support the show, memberships are a good way to do that. So let's dive on into our next topic, which is actually, and she's going up and up and up and up in my books. I know, loads of people don't like her, but Brie Larson. All right. Obviously, Cannes is going on. Brie Larson is a juror, so she's judging some of the films, and it was a really weird. So Cannes is where they're premiering Jean de Barry, which is Johnny Depp's movie that he's sort of starring in, and it's hilarious kind of watching everyone sort of flounder at this, because obviously Hollywood is there. Like, no one gives a fuck at Cannes that Johnny Depp's there. No one cares. Like, they're happy for it, right? They literally don't care. But Hollywood is obviously over in Cannes, and they're like, "Oh my god, you can't show Johnny Depp." Blah 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 blah. And so Brie Larson's massively gone up in my books because she just completely deflected the question about Johnny Depp, and was essentially like, "No, I literally couldn't give a shit. I could not give a shit." Like, it's her whole demeanor. It's the very clear statements from the questioner about it as well. And you can see she does understand, but she's like, "Oh, I'm not getting involved in this bollocks." And it's absolute gold. And she's really going up in my book. So let's just watch it now. And we'll sort of get your thoughts on it, really.
I have a different take, but yeah, here we go.
As a sort of outspoken and very vocal advocate for Time's Up and Me Too, I'm curious how you feel about Johnny Depp's film opening the festival, and do you plan to see it?
You're asking me that?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't understand the correlation, or why me specifically.
Oh, just you were on the advisory council, celebrity advisory council for Time's Up. I think the Johnny Depp case has been very well played out in American and international media.
Understood.
There's been some controversy about that film being chosen to play out of competition in open Cannes. So I'm just curious if you will see it and how you feel about its selection here.
Well, you'll see, I guess, if I'll see it. And I don't know how I'll feel about it if I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think then? Because I think that's gold. That's hilarious.
I see where you're coming from. I don't think she's sticking up for Johnny so much as she's annoyed that it's a question that has nothing to fucking do with her. And that's why.
Well, that's what I mean. So, she's sticking up for Johnny Depp by proxy, because
I don't see that so much.
Well, no. So the questioner asked very specifically about Time's Up, right? And about the fact that she's on the celebrity advisory board for Time's Up. And she's like, well, yeah, I still don't really understand why you're asking me that. Like, I don't really, what are you talking? Like, it's very clear what the question is. She's like, I just don't want to get involved in this nonsense, basically. That's what it says to me. I love it. I think it's absolute gold. Absolute gold. Oh, Culture's here.
I was going to say, I'm more with Carlo. She's more annoyed for the question than she is sticking up for him. But okay, in proxy, it works that way, I guess. Because if she's there as a judge, first of all, if it's not in contention or whatever, then she's not required to see it. And yeah, she's shooting him down because he just wants a juicy statement out of it. But I mean, see, the thing is with her, she's such a narcissistic person that I could see her being more pissy about it not having anything to do with her than it has anything to do with Johnny Depp. I don't even see her drawing the correlation between the Me Too thing, right? Like, because that's what he's trying to tangentially do. And she's just like, no, I'm not going to answer that. And if I do see it,
I love it.
I don't know how I'm going to feel. Like, it's like, I haven't seen the movie yet. How do I know how I'm going to feel if I haven't seen it yet? I mean, yeah. I mean, she's never even worked with Johnny Depp. So, I mean, in that respect, and otherwise, I mean, I could see her, if you want to think she's maybe sticking up for Johnny, is maybe just because
it's not sticking up. It's
right.
She's doing it by proxy, by shooting the question down, because she's not entertaining it. Like, she's not sticking up for him. It's Brie Larson on Johnny Depp. It's the statement, the question. The question is laid out very, very plain, very simple for anyone to understand. It's very, very clear why and what he's asking. She's on the advisory board of Time's Up as a as a celebrity advisory. He says it, the Sun in the UK, controversy, how do you feel? And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not even entertaining this question. I don't care. And this is the thing, right? You got to remember, so it's sticking up by proxy. It's not actually sticking up. It's more the fact that it all just falls away and just falls apart. This whole woke nonsense of them going, well, I'm this and I'm that, and I've really, it's like, no. Like, she's there, she's trying to have a good time. I just don't give a fuck. Like, leave me alone. Like, I don't care. And that's the take home from it to me. That's why it made, like, she could have used this as clout chasing with all the feminists out there. She could have, right? Because it's a very clear day. It's all there. It's very, very clear. The question is laid out, but she didn't. She does not care, and that's why it goes up in my books. That's why I like it.
I mean, they were in 21 Jump Street technically together, I guess, from what people are saying. I forgot about that, but
she in 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, she plays the love interest in that with Jonah Hill. It's probably her least annoying character in it. Yeah, most people don't remember because she lost some weight afterwards, and I think she got some work done afterwards too.
I'm gonna have to Google that. Anyway,
she looks more cherub in that one than she does now.
Cherubesque, yes, I love that term.
Yes.
Look, first of all, the journalists deserve to get a little bit of pushback because Time's Up folded in January because they were being continually called out for shielding abusers if they had a particular political affiliation. So it wasn't really working very well. So, she's probably like, how is this? She has a lot of reasons that she didn't respond to this. But I don't blame her. And look, it doesn't put her on the wrong side of anything. Because right now, all of the Eve Barlows of the world and all the, the other folks are there at Cannes, trying to start trouble, but it's not working because it's such a small sliver of humanity.
Isn't she also partially there to promote Fast X? And I would imagine Universal told her not to be political at all.
Yeah, because they probably want to work with Depp.
Yeah,
I mean, every studio that's not Disney right now, they want to work with Depp because he's on a comeback run. He's like the new Stark. Robert Downey Jr. So I'm sorry. I just, after this film, and if it's received well, the Jean de Barry, if this is received well and Johnny gets a win out of this, they're going to be looking for him. And I think that they're going to get a win out of it. So.
I mean, look, even this statement by festival head Thierry Frémaux in a press conference Monday defended his decision in selecting Jean de Barry as the kickoff title of the festival's 76th edition. I don't know the image of Johnny Depp in the United States, he told reporters. He's extraordinary in the film in a role which is difficult. this is a mistype. I don't why he was cast. I don't understand that. You will have to ask May Wen her reasons for choosing him. For the rest, I'm the last person to talk about this, because if there is one person in the world who is not interested in this very mediatized process, it's me. I'm interested in Johnny Depp as an actor.
Yeah.
So did they really ask why, or is it a she or a he? I can't.
For who?
Thierry would be a
dude, right? Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Dude,
Okay, is it? Are they really asking him why you would cast Johnny Depp in a costume drama or whatever this is?
No, they're asking him why they selected that movie to open Cannes Festival.
Oh.
And he's like, because it's a really good film, and he's really good in it, basically.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a costume drama period piece is kind of Johnny Depp's bread and butter.
He's one of the best at doing that. I mean, fudge. Yeah.
I like, she goes up in my books because she could have saw as an opportunity to clout chase for the feminist agenda nonsense and all of that sort of element. She didn't. I like it. I'm happy with that. But you are right. Like, there's no reason to do it either. And yeah, it's just good times for me. Cracks me. Oh, what you doing? Fucking what you doing? Oh, was that where is she from 21 Jump Street? I haven't got the pictures of that.
She plays Joan. Oh, you want to see her in 21 Jump Street?
Yeah, do you have it?
Because I don't remember her. I don't
Whip
remember
it out.
her. Whip it out. Don't say that. Tom was already trying to strip earlier.
I'm working on it.
No.
Oh, you mean the images? Never mind. Yeah. I'm working on that too, I guess.
The images. Yeah.
I thought you wanted other stuff.
No.
No. We're good.
You wanted some sexy time with Tom.
No. We're good, mate.
I'm squishy.
Oh boy.
Here you go. See, she's got a much rounder face. She's definitely had some work and shit done since then and lost a lot of weight.
I remember her now. Yeah, okay. God, yeah, she does look different, doesn't she?
I don't remember her being.
She got some nose work. She got some definite work under her chin.
She was
jawline
in,
probably
like, the school play, basically.
Yeah, she's the geeky chick in the movie, believe it or not.
You remember her now, Culture?
Well, he remembered probably.
Yeah.
He watches it nightly. It's one of his favorites on rotation.
That's such
actually, that's not a bad movie. I was like, I was so set to hate that movie because I was a huge 21 Jump Street fan growing up. And I saw it and I was like, that ain't Brie Larson.
It is too.
With a shit ton of makeup.
I'm just telling you, this is her.
All right. Well, anyway, we're going way off topic now.
Sorry.
I like it. Just to round it up, I like it. I know, it's not necessarily defending Johnny Depp, but it's defended by proxy. It's an opportunity where these, massively sort of activist-leaning individuals could use it as an opportunity to do this. She chose not to. I like it very, very much. I'm very happy about that. Closing thoughts, Tom.
Yeah, clearly it was Mirror Universe, Brie in the 21 Jump Street world. No, like in proxy, I'll give her credit for it, I guess.
Cool. Culture, closing thoughts, my dude. Nothing, just that.
No, I mean, look, Brie demonstrated a lot of restraint, and I think it put on display a lot of maturity, and I think that's something she's lacked oftentimes when she's been confronted by the press. And
interesting, yeah, true.
Yeah, so in my book, she's doing better. She probably isn't going to alienate people, and she does have projects coming out. So maybe she's listened to her publicist. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, that level of restraint and maturity is likely to not get anybody to hate her.
Yeah,
or more people to hate her.
Which we had heard is something that I guess was getting to her.
Yeah, well, that seemed pretty obvious by what we had sort of seen of her being questioned about Captain Marvel and things like that. So, yeah. Let's shuffle on now because we've got take that off the bloody screen. We got some comments from you subscribers here watching. So thank you so much with the super chat. So Dash Attack drops in with Discovery. This is, of course, about the Disney legal issues. Yes, 100%. Larry Quadowitz drops in with $5. Says, hello, Mr. H, Tom, and Culture. Is
Hello.
anyone excited for the Toxic Crusaders video game? I did not even hear this was.
I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
I heard about it, but I don't know anything about it beyond that. I just remember I think we
Not
were on
even
stream
not
and
even
it
heard
got
about it.
mentioned, Tom. I think.
I've heard
What is
that the like Toxic Avengers, Toxic Crusaders. Is it like that, or that's what I thought? Or
It
am I
says
thinking
Toxic Crusaders, not Avengers. So I don't know.
Uh,
Well, I'm not excited because I didn't even know this thing existed, Larry, my dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit out of the loop on stuff like
yeah,
this. It's
yeah,
big
like Toxie. Yeah, I've heard it's coming.
Okay.
Um,
So it's off the Toxic Avenger then, is it?
yeah.
Okay, so
Because they've got a new movie coming, so I don't know if it has anything to do with that or if it's
Yeah.
the classic or.
I mean,
maybe.
you've got the Toxic Crusaders 2023 official announcement that it'll be coming to PC, Nintendo, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. So it will apparently be coming out. The trailer just dropped for this today.
And the remake is
okay.
done. I know somebody who saw it and said it's actually better than they expected it to be.
Really?
Peter Dinklage plays Toxie in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. I did some reports on that. We didn't hear anything for that for a while, so I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, I guess
So they
it's
actually shot
done.
it, did they? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this makes. I mean, good on them for doing a game at the same time to sort of promote it. I guess that's great.
I'm assuming it's coming soon because the movies are coming out on 4K here real soon too.
Well, and the trailer is out. So, I mean, today.
All right. Well, interesting.
The trailer for the game.
Yeah.
Let me see it. Put it share it in the private.
All right.
I just was shuffle on to Teague. Oh, for $2 says Ren and Stimpy or Animaniacs. Which do you enjoy? Used to really like Ren and Stimpy.
I like both of them. I really loved
and Pinky and the Brain as well.
Yeah. I love the Animaniacs. I loved how goofy and irreverent they were, but Stimpy, what the hell? I do that all the time. So I think probably Ren and Stimpy wins, although
I'd have to go with classic Animaniacs, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the first iteration. Yeah, the new ones are crap.
Yeah. Nick from Echo Base Network, who is normally our fourth panelist here, drops in with the super chat for $4.99. Says, got pulled into a work project that I can't get out of, so I won't make it today, guys. Have a good stream, and I will see you, gentlemen, Thursday. Well, I do apologize. Your company will be missed, my dude. Always enjoy your input, so hopefully work goes well. But yes.
Hey, look, if you're not going to make it to work is okay with you sending them a super chat to apologize.
Okay, so looking at this trailer, this is basically the Toxic Crusaders cartoon as a beat 'em up gang, kind of like TMNT games, the classic TMNT,
or like Streets of Rage, I think,
or Streets, yeah, the Streets of Rage kind of thing, basically, yeah.
Okay, interesting. So we're going to shuffle on to our next topic, which is some more Brie Larson stuff. I know. Sorry, guys. But she's made the headlines because obviously she's a Cannes and people are asking her stuff. And I think this is an interesting conversation because it goes some way to going into some other elements that have been discussed recently. Look, right, come on. The black dress.
Oh my God, look at cultures. It's like smiling at us.
Yeah.
So basically, Brie Larson was asked whether Marvel movies should be screened at Cannes because she's a judge there. She's she's judging the festival submissions. And it's interesting, I think, because this is a conversation we've had. People have had multiple times in sort of industry. Are Marvel movies actual movies? Are they, are they destroying cinema, etc., etc.? So she goes, basically during this morning's press conference, many of the questions were directed towards Larson, because she's basically the only famous person there. And somewhat expectedly, the actress was asked about major studio blockbusters, superhero movies in particular, being included in the prestigious festival's lineup, along with smaller indie or art house fare. Now, first and foremost, I wouldn't say that was expectedly. In fact, I would say that that's a really dumbass question at a film festival like this. It's stupid because it's a given that it shouldn't be asked, right? And you're only asking to grab headlines like they did here. So I think it's dumb, just straight off the bat. And she goes, look, I only know my perspective and I've never curated a film festival. I take the same level of preparation and care, whatever the budget. A film is a film. This is my first time here, and I'm sure the movies will have a wide range in scope. That's what makes this festival so special. I mean, she is literally completely right. So that's kind of it. I mean, that is literally the headline. There's not really much else there, to be fair. This is all the
again, this is journalists misinterpreting what Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino backed him up with. Right? Like, nobody is saying that they're not quote unquote movies. No. Yes, they're movies, but are they what you would consider cinema? Right? Like, are they a singular voice? Fuck no. They are assembly line McDonaldized things that come out of basically this machine that spits them out. Right? Now, are there some diamonds in this rough? Hell yes. We've got, for every Dark Knight, though, there's 10 Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaniums. That's the problem.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so we live in a world now where, and Tarantino made this point on the other side of Scorsese's point. He goes, problem is we've lived in a world now for so long where kids have grown up where these are movies, right? This is all there is. There's nothing else. He's like, a kid wouldn't know what to do right now with Taxi Driver, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. They haven't grown up in a world with Taxi Drivers or Godfathers or Jaws or Star Wars movies in them. You know, actual movies that were beyond just, you know, an IP, basically, because that's all Marvel is at the end of the day, is an IP farm.
Yeah. Well, I'll push back on that ever so slightly, because obviously you talk about Taxi Driver. I mean, Joker was slated as a ripoff of Taxi Driver, wasn't it?
And it kind of is, yeah.
So, you know, I'll push back on his sort of sentiment there a little bit, is that it was R-rated. Kids.
But Joker also got nominated for Oscars. Again, that's one of the diamonds in the rough, is what I mean.
Yeah. No, true. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, look, you know, then I mean, it's just a headline grabber, and it's so ridiculous to suggest that, you know, I don't know. I always find it, these award shows are, I mean, this is different. This is a festival, right? But, you know, an award show like the Oscars is wholly irrelevant anyway. And when people are like, oh, Marvel movies should be blah, 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 blah. No, they really shouldn't. Like, they shouldn't at all. Like, the Oscars are the Oscars because they're a lot of it is just the most pretentious garbage ever. But a film festival is slightly different. So, you know, I've had press passes to go to film festivals before in the UK. I don't know, was it the London Film Festival? I can't remember what it's called now, to be fair. It's a little while ago, but this is where they screened and where I first watched Hereditary. And it was the only movie showing in the entire film festival that I was remotely interested in, because the rest of it was absolute fucking shite. It was absolute shite. And they are literally like, I remember, they're just, you know, they are what they are. And some of it is to show, like, again, you know, a lot of it is very artistic. Some of it is very cinematic. BFI, there you go, the BFI Film Festival.
BFI, yes. Okay.
You know,
that's kind of stuffy, yeah.
Oh, mate, honestly, to get press accreditation, you have to submit work.
At least Cannes has some of the fancier stuff. Yeah, sorry.
Honestly, it was ridiculous. You got to submit work. You had to like write like an essay as well to sort of to go along with your work for approval. They have to watch it and say, "Oh yes, we'd like you to come and." Oh, it was garbage. I never went back. Basically, put it that way. I did it once, and it's like I'm not. This is wasting my time, and it was genuinely a waste of my time. But you know, film festivals are film festivals, and some of them show. I mean, Cannes, for instance, is showing the Dial of Destiny, right? That's where its world premiere is going to be. You know, we will start hearing about that this coming week. We will start hearing about the Dial of Destiny and things like that, and kind of seeing whether that's good or not. But film festivals are film festivals. They're not a place for a fucking Marvel movie. It's such a dumb comment to ask and to make. You know, what Marvel movie, what DC movie fits the film festival criteria? Like, genuinely.
Well, like you said, the only ones that would be something avant-garde, a little bit like Joker. Or like when Joker 2 comes out, I could see that premiering at one of the film festivals. But you're right. Like, And again, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a film like, from Marvel like you could any other movie. But I mean, even look at something like, do we even still talk about the Avengers here almost 10 years on or whatever it is since it came out? Not
Only
really.
only as a metric for when people were done with
Exactly.
Marvel.
Not like we used to with Star Wars and Jaws and some of these other culturally, because at the time we would have imagined that 10, 20 years down the road we'd be still talking about Avengers as this cultural event. But maybe that's part of the problem with Marvel going on for so long, is that we're still connected with that, so we can't disconnect from that at all. Because at least look at Star Wars, to where there was a disconnection time period, right? Same thing with the rest of these other franchises. They ran their course, they were over. We moved on from them onto other things, but we still can look back on them fondly because we didn't get a Back to the Future 4. And that might actually segue nicely into another one of your stories, right, Nate?
But just a second. So the reason that they're removed from the zeitgeist so quickly, I think, when it comes to films like the Avengers and so on and so forth, I think that happens because they lack depth. I think that's one reason. But the other reason is because they've turned all this material not into films or cinema. They've turned it into quote unquote content. See, and that was the very moment that instead they were completely shifted from the type of product they were to just a bulk product that, yes, Tom, is manufactured in a factory and put together
sausage factory, as you put it. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why they don't persist. I think their lack of persistence is 100% in the way that the material's been treated. And then because they're willing to shuffle off one to bring in another at a ever changing and increasing rate, and because of the idea that you can just pass a mantle from person to person, you've devalued them even further. Yeah, Christopher Reeve's Superman,
the gold standard.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gold standard. And that character, once he was not doing that anymore, nobody was going to do that any time soon. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And I feel like that's the problem. When something becomes ubiquitous, it lacks anything special. And I think that's where we're at.
And I'm glad you brought up Superman the movie, because I think that stands as a great example of what is different about movies before and now, right? Because that's a comic book movie, right?
Yeah.
Well, the difference is it was treated in a certain way that these movies aren't.
Yeah.
These movies are basically fodder to set up the next one, and that's it. And that even has more relevance considering they shot 1 and 2 at the same time. But guess what? 1 wasn't predicating what 2 was necessarily going to be, and the only part of 2 that really rested upon the first film was these villains, right? Which was set up in the course of the story of the first film. So that just felt like a natural extension. They didn't know if it was going to do anything like it did, but they treated it like they were making The Godfather. That's why. They don't treat these movies like that anymore. None of these, and it's not just comic book movies, it's everything. Almost
most movies are exactly the same.
There's only been a few we've gotten a handful recently, like Tetris and a few others that I say would be more in line with what we used to get. And I'm glad to see those kind of things come along, because it makes the movies that are superhero movies that much more special at the same time, right? Because I haven't seen a good superhero movie in over a year, probably since No Way Home, and seeing Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of a breath of fresh air. It's like, finally, a superhero movie that was good. I didn't hate Shazam 2, and I didn't hate Black Adam, but they were more of the same, right?
Yeah.
As I've said before, Shazam was the best MCU movie the DC franchise has ever made, right? At this point, that's kind of what Shazam 2 was. So they're all just kind of copying each other at this point. Nothing new happened in that movie, though. Like, there's even that video out there where somebody cut all the bits from Shazam, and it's like, okay, we saw the same thing in Doctor Strange, and we saw this bit in another movie. It's like the equivalent of stuff shooting in the sky at the end of all these superhero movies is they all like copy one or the other. They're all the same cookie cutter stuff. You expect the same kind of stuff. It's been the same since the year 2000, basically, since the first Spider-Man and X-Men movie. These things really haven't changed much.
I think you're right. I mean, spinning's a good trick, right?
Exactly. I mean, the outstanding films would be, probably the Dark Knight trilogy, Joker, maybe a few random ones here and there. Winter Soldier was kind of a standout for the MCU at the end of the day. The Guardians films are standouts. Yeah, there's a few, but I mean, I'm not going to say that there's not, but there's
no,
mostly
they
crap.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely do not belong at film festivals. They are just conveyor belt, factory machined products that are just going.
I
into
ain't
some
even
artistic
comparing them to
vision.
like Sly and Schwarzenegger action films, because even those felt like they had more going for them than some of the
they had
stuff.
more charm. They had more charm.
Yeah.
They might have been centered around the gimmick of the action hero, the icon.
But that's like the closest I can compare it to, yeah.
But they still had charm and a certain element surrounding them that was unique.
Yeah.
You look at I don't know, like Demolition Man, for instance.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that stands the test of time. Like 20 years from now. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people aren't going to be watching half these Marvel movies. They're just not.
And that's my point.
Being asked the question, do they belong at Cannes? No, they don't.
Well,
but
sorry, that was a long answer, but yeah.
Shuffle on just briefly because there's something I just need to address here. Antonio Aguilar for something 300. I don't know what that is. Says, please also upload the full stream. I've got to address this because people seem really confused. I actually do. They don't go on the main channel, guys. They go on the second channel, which is linked in the description box. Mr. H Reviews, live archives. You've even got Olaf Van S here, plugging it here. It says, miss any of the live streams, get the best of our HCasts at the archives channel. So there's all the clips, all the best bits, but then there are the whole stream episodes. The whole podcast goes up there as well. They are unlisted. They're in a playlist, the only playlist on that channel, but the whole podcast goes there. So they don't stay on the main channel. They all go over there, and they go there for a reason.
And
so yeah.
Note, guys, that they did change the main pages on YouTube. No longer do they update the front page. You have to actually click on videos and live streams now to see what we've done that's new.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like Nate said, if it's in a playlist, you got to go to the playlist.
Yeah.
But hello, thank you for listening in Iceland. That was Icelandic.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that. But yeah, so just had to reiterate that, guys. That's why it's important to, if you miss it all, hit subscribe on that second channel in the description box.
Yep.
But you kind of alluded to it a little bit there with our next topic about Back to the Future 4. Were we talking about Michael J. Fox being an absolute base boss? I love his response to this.
Michael J. is awesome.
Yeah, he's such a legend, and you know what?
I want to see his new documentary so badly. Yeah, just dropped on Apple. I haven't got a chance to see it yet.
Yeah. I've heard it's really, really good. And this is like, Michael J. Fox is just one of the most likable people. Like a massively likable guy. Obviously beset by pretty awful condition, but still powers on through, and a true absolute legend,
right? Well, you never heard a bad story about him. He was always that boy next door from Canada, right? Yeah. I mean, he was always lovable in everything he did, even when he plays like obnoxious brats. He was still Well, I mean, he stole the show Family Ties from the parents, really. That, for those who don't know, the show was initially supposed to be about, the parents more so, and he kind of stole the show.
Yeah, he's just a legend. He's just a legend. Nice chap. One of these people that you just a likable guy. Like in all interviews, anything he does, he comes across always likable. Very, very down to earth, right?
Great sense of humor, considering. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and not Hollywood infected, So basically, he addressed this whole reboot situation for Back to the Future. So it was a recent profile with Variety. Fox doesn't really care at all about. So he let's not get it misconstrued. He clearly cares about Back to the Future, right? But he cares about it in a very disconnected way because he understands the system. This is what's so funny about it. So he goes, look, I'm not fanatical. Do what you want. It's your movie. I got paid already. But it sort of, goes a bit further. And he says, look, I don't think it needs to be in terms of a reboot, a remake. I don't think it needs to be. I think screenwriters Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale have been really smart about that. I don't think it needs rebooting, because are you going to clarify something? You're going to find a better way to tell the story? I doubt it. So this article is slightly misleading, because it sounds like Fox isn't possessive, feelings towards it. Well, he is, because he's like, no, we made the definitive Back to the Future. You aren't going to get better than that. And no one will. You won't get better than that. You cannot get better than that. I love that response. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But Christopher Lloyd, he doesn't really do a little bit here and there, but he said, yeah, he'd be happy to come back as Doc Brown. He says, I'd love to do a sequel, but I think Bob Zemeckis and producer Steven Spielberg felt that they told the story in the 3 episodes. But if somebody has a brilliant idea that would justify a 4th film, it might happen. Yeah, only when certain people die. Bob Gale on the Collider podcast a few years ago said about says why they'll never get a reboot or a sequel. So for clarity's sake, we've seen this repeatedly with sequels that go back to the well after many, many years, and they go, well, The Phantom Menace. Maybe my life would have been better if I hadn't seen it.
I understand what he means. I'm not going to lie and say that, yeah.
We have an understanding with Spielberg and Amblin that there would never be another Back to the Future movie without our blessing or being involved. So it's not going to happen.
Understanding doesn't mean a contract, though, Bob. Just remember that. It better be in writing.
Wow, but they haven't made one yet, and this is the thing. So there clearly is a reason as to why, with all these things being pushed out, you think that they probably would. But look, what do you think about Michael J. Fox? His comments, his statements. I'm not fanatical.
You don't give a shit. That's just as legendary as John Carpenter's response when they asked him about his remakes. Yeah, he's like, how do you feel about your remakes? He's like, look, this is how I feel. I put my hand out and they put a check in it. That's how I feel. He's like, I don't give a shit. I got paid, and that's kind of where Mikey's here too. He's like, I'm so beyond that at this point. Why would anybody do that? It would be just as dumb as, I don't know, remaking Ghostbusters, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. See, no, it would never work. Why? Because Back to the Future is one of the most beloved films of all time. In fact, last I knew, they used to use it in writing classes, like in screenplay writing classes, because it's like screenplay writing 101. It's one of the greatest, tightest screenplays you'll ever find, because everything is set up and pays off brilliantly. Yeah. There's no fat in that script whatsoever. In fact, even the one time they kind of deviate, it's still technically relevant. Because they're like, the only time we really wasted any time in the movie is when you stop for 3.5 minutes for Michael J. Fox to sing Johnny Be Good. But it's like, no, that actually plays into his whole thing with getting up on stage and not being good enough and the fear of, all that kind of stuff. It all has to do with him wanting to be a musician, So like, it's still there. It's still part of the story. It's a brilliant script. And even the sequels are really, really good. And you're hard pressed to find a perfect trilogy like the Back to the Future trilogy. There's not many. Not many. And the second film has aged so well. Like, I remember when people hated that movie, right? People have this revisionist history about, like, when Empire Strikes Back came out, people hated it. It's like, no, they hated the fact that they had to wait 3 years to find out if Darth Vader was lying. People hated Back to the Future 2 when it came out. They were pissed about it. They're like, this is a dark, depressing, shitty movie. And that's why the third film everybody's like, oh, thank God, at least the third film was more bright and not so bad. But over time, people have come to love the second film, and especially with the humor and stuff of being way past 2015 now and everything like that. So no, at this point, why would you want to mess with it? I don't, even if it's not in writing, I hope Universal's smart enough to never attempt it. They did that musical on what was it, in Britain here recently?
Yeah.
I don't know how well that was received, but I wasn't even a real big fan of the idea of that. But I guess that did okay. So whatever, that's mostly harmless. I just say leave it alone. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the fact that, as much as he's like, well, do what you want. It's your movie. I got paid already. But then the follow-up commentary about basically like, look, you're not going to find a better way to tell the story. You're just not. his statements are, we made the definitive Back to the Future. Everything will pale in comparison. And he knows it. We all know it.
Yep.
You know, it's not, you can't do it. You just can't. Oh yeah, sorry. So culture, yeah. What do you think, mate?
Well, now that Tom's given us the what do you call that? The dissertation about the Back to the Future, which he's totally 100% right. I always support Tom, and this is something he's quite passionate about. You can't remake this film. You can't remake any of these films. You not only would they pale in comparison, as you said, I believe that nobody would see them. I think they would be panned universally. I think it would be an incredible waste of money. And believe me, studios are smart.
Can you imagine the amount of money they'd have to spend on it as well in today's money to get the effects right? It'd be great. It'd be like, you're looking at like a $200 million movie easily, and it would just fucking bomb.
And it would bomb. It would be it's just a terrible, terrible waste of money. There's zero point to doing that. I can't see a studio head saying this is a good idea. I just can't. Nobody's that interested in losing $250 million. I mean, believe me, you lose it somewhere else that you don't know is going to flop. Don't make a flop. Don't making a flop.
And I've seen a lot of people like come up with, and it almost sounds intriguing for a minute if you think about it, where people are like, just remake it, but have Tom Holland play Marty, and you got Robert Downey Jr.'s Doc. It's like, yeah, they could possibly pull something off, but it wouldn't be the same. It would be them just trying to do the same thing, right? Like, at this point, leave it alone. Do something like it if you want to, but otherwise, just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'd hate that idea. I think that sounds.
I don't even. They would screw up time travel. I'd be mad. I mean, I can think of 1,000 ways it could go wrong. I can't think of one way you could do it better. I just don't.
Yeah. There's no way you made this film better. They made the definitive one. They know they made the definitive one.
If you want a Back to the Future 4, people have done super cuts of the Telltale game.
Yeah,
it's pretty much Back to the Future 4. It's the closest you're ever going to get to it, and it's actually a very interesting story.
Okay. No, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's actually it's like almost a movie or two's worth of story. It's actually pretty interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Basically, it's about what if Doc fell in love with the wrong woman, and it changed everything. Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of a twist on what happened before. It picks right up pretty much where 3 leaves off. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out. So just as a sort of quick aside, I think you check. Yeah, it's the same one. Antonio, now the Icelandic Filipino, great name change, has become a member of the channel. So thank you so much. Do appreciate that, dude. It's a really good way for you guys to support the show, support the channel. So thank you so much. As well, super chats are a really good way to do that as well. If you want to join in the conversation, obviously we're talking about a wide range of topics today. If you want to join in on that, super chats are the way to do that. We've got 291 likes, but nearly 500 people here. So hit that thumbs up button, please. That would be great.
Yeah.
And we also, Peter Dermody has been a member for 24 months on the channel at supporter level 0.5. So great milestone there. Thank you so much. Genuinely, really appreciate it. Genuinely, massively, really appreciate it. As well, please do check out in the description box down below Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. It's the second channel. It's where these podcasts go. The clips, the best bits, and everyone else's channels. So Culture Casino's down there. Tom from Midnight Sage After Dark, he's down there. Please do check them out. Please do subscribe to their channels. They do great work. You're enjoying them on the show, so you'll like their own stuff. So check them out.
Yeah, and even check out Nick. Even though he's not here, check out Nick.
Yeah, true.
I do got to say, because they're bringing it up in the chat, like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, if they made it now, let's say, okay, we'll make it easy. 2025, they were to make this movie a remake. That means Marty would have to go back to 1995.
Yeah.
Not a whole hell of a lot has changed between now and then in comparison to how different things were. I know it's hard to think that way, but it was so much more different. The only big difference between 1995 and now is cell phones got like bigger screens. Like I remember having cell phones at that point already, like by 96, 97. So
I mean, you
already had the internet. I mean,
yeah. Well, where would you go with it? That's the thing, right? Like, unless you went like into the far, far, far flung future. Like, there's no way you could do it because of the time period we're in and what people thought it would be now, and it just
because there
doesn't
was
work.
variables that made that exactly. But cell phones existed at that point. Culture. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is the difference between 1985 and 1955 compared to 2025 to 95? There was a much bigger difference. You had the Vietnam War happen in between there. Technology had taken a major leap. You had home video, laserdisc, CD. You know, like
Yeah.
TV had changed so much, even more so in a way than it has now. I mean, sure, you would have a teenager would feel a little out of place in 1995, but I think they would acclimate a hell of a lot easier than Marty did. I think it would be, again, that's just, minor stupid things, but it's things to think about because that was the other point that the Bob Gale and Zemeckis said, that was a totally different time. And he saw his dad in the yearbook and said, my dad and I probably wouldn't get along because we're such different people. Right. And things had changed so much between the 50s into the 70s into the 80s that he questioned, would me and my dad even get along? So like that was a big part of it. And he just talked about how different the world was. You had the hippie movement and everything like that come in between, and his dad's generation was the first, the teenagers were the first time they were a working class in America and stuff like that, and had a say with their money. And so like that was also a big point that he was making and stuff compared to the way kids were acting at that point in the 80s and stuff. And he's just asking himself the same question that is like, in a few years from now, if my kid were to meet me, would we even be friends in high school? So like it's that's the main kind of core for the whole thing. And I just don't know if you could really pull that off anymore with the same charm. And
you couldn't. But let's shuffle on to the next topic now. Sorry to sort of interject and kind of cut in there a little bit. But this chap, the Aladdin star, was hounded off Twitter.
Wow.
Hounded off Twitter by Little Mermaid fans.
Yeah, the tolerant folks, the super tolerant people out there.
I told you these people exist.
It's the Oppression Olympics. It's the Oppression Olympics, guys. This is what we're dealing with.
Well, he made a mistake, Nate. He didn't realize he had a penis. See, if he realized he had a penis, then he could have realized he could have won this fight. But
he didn't realize that he also had the wrong skin color as well.
No, that would have won him the case. But yeah, the other one's a different skin color. You're right.
Yeah. So basically, he's deleted his Twitter. Mina Masood. Now this is an interesting sort of case study, but like I'm not going to sit there and be like, the sort of Oppression Olympics that he's stating in terms of Disney not, choosing not to pursue an Aladdin sequel. They really should have done from the business perspective. It earned over $1 billion worldwide, right? So from a business perspective, there should actually be a sequel to Aladdin, and there's not yet. It seems very odd, but then stuff has happened with Will Smith. His stardom's gone down. He obviously played the genie.
I would think it has
stuff there.
I think it has more to do with maybe the lack of video sales and stuff after the fact, more than likely.
I know, but $1 billion worldwide.
It did great in the box office, but I don't think it did well afterwards. I think that's why the Disney hasn't really pushed for it. But his crime is hilarious here once we get to what he actually did to get canceled.
Well, yeah. So basically, he was cancelled. He was raced off Twitter, and this is what he said. So this is the thing. Our film was unique. It just tweeted this out. Didn't tag anyone. Just tweeted it out.
Was it a response to anybody or no? Or he just said this out?
Okay. No. So yeah, I think it was in response to someone. So it was responding to a fan about the Little Mermaid's chances.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Success.
All right.
So what? But it wasn't. I mean, it didn't tag anyone. He just tweeted it. It's
an innocent answer to an innocent question, if you ask me.
Yeah, and he says our film was unique. And the audiences went to watch it multiple times. It's the only way we reached the $1 billion mark with our opening. My guess is The Little Mermaid doesn't cross the billion mark, but will undoubtedly get a sequel. I mean, it's pretty fucking innocuous, isn't it, really? It's a pretty innocuous statement. And they went mental. They went mad mental. So much so he had to go off Twitter. He deleted it. Now, look, at the end of the day, will The Little Mermaid probably get a sequel? Yeah, probably. Probably. I would imagine so, right? It probably will get a sequel. They are really pushing that merch hard currently. They are really, really pushing that merch hard. They've got a lot invested in this, more so than they have.
If not, maybe he's giving us some insight into, you know, a little bit of their, you know,
what they're thinking behind stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty innocuous statement. It is the oppression Olympics.
For the most part, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But what do we think? Because at the end of the day, I think personally, he's right to a certain degree. I don't think it'll cross $1 billion mark. I've said that before. I know people keep going, well, don't be surprised. Sure, whatever. That's my opinion. But we'll still probably get a sequel, whereas his didn't. And it is surprising because from a business perspective, his movie should get a sequel. It should get a sequel. Business that's a good business move. It made good money. But has it got a sequel? It does seem odd. Right? I mean, a culture, I can see you racking your brains there, mate. What do you think?
I mean, the easiest Disney decision would be to greenlight a sequel in this case. I mean, that's just looking at it from that side of the equation. I mean, we oftentimes, and this is where Tom and I disagree on these films like Mermaid and so on. Mermaid is not star driven. There's no star in that film. Whereas when you compare it to the previous live action remakes, those were star driven. Whether you want to talk about Aladdin had Will Smith, and at the time Will Smith was one of the hottest people on the planet. The same thing with Emma Watson being in Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it was star driven. He had multiple stars in that particular film, as a matter of fact. But
Lion King was famous.
But you didn't in Lion King though.
No, they did. So they did and they didn't. They were famous. They were really pushing the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Beyonce.
Yeah, so it was star driven from that perspective, and they got James Earl Jones back as well.
Yeah, and again, I mean, that voice is iconic and all of that. And and say what you will, I mean, about those films, but we've also had some live action remakes that have failed, flopped, whatever you want to call it. I don't see this doing better. A lot of people are trying to say it's going to finish 110 on its Memorial Day weekend opening here in the States, domestically, and I don't see that happening. I still see it sitting somewhere around 70 to 90 million. So it's gonna compare to things. It's gonna open pretty soft. In fact, it's gonna open about at the same rate that I think Fast X is going to open. And Fast X got downgraded. I think it's going to be somewhere between 63 and 70 million on its opening weekend here in the States. But internationally, it's going to have huge box office. The next thing,
you guys, go ahead, Culture. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say the additional thing that I was going to mention was that, you know, I don't think you're going to get a lot of international play for Fast X, which is opening the week before, I think, and then you're going to get not as much international play for Little Mermaid, because a lot of the international markets are just done with this stuff, you know, and
well, their interest is elsewhere as well.
Yeah,
their interest will be in like Fast X and Transformers and things like that.
And then
it'll be on other stuff.
Well, there's two other films that come out that weekend. One of them is Kandahar. I don't know what the other one is, and then right after that, I mean, you have another film coming out the week after. I mean, it's kind of a bad window. Disney is really doing a poor job of like framing these things, putting them in, you know, giving them each movie a run. Because I mean, the Guardians maybe should not have maybe they thought Guardians would tail off faster. I don't know. But now you're cannibalizing yourself potentially. Even though, you know, they're a month apart. I mean, I guess we'll see. I like I said, I'm not.
Well, wait, you don't think it's going to do very well, but do you think it'll get a sequel?
Well, I think my answer was I don't think so.
You don't think? I honestly, I do. I reckon it would get a sequel.
I know, and that's fine.
They are, and I think they are pushing it hard.
Look, if this thing only
seriously hard,
but if it globally only makes $350 to $450 million, I don't know. Soft open on look, if it opens at 70 million. And there's not blazing word of mouth out there that isn't artificially driven.
Well, we know it's going to be artificially driven.
But I'm saying
she is Ariel.
And she really isn't. Yeah, like I said, I look at things from the business side of the equation. And for me, you know, the no-brainer was greenlighting Aladdin.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So from a business perspective, right? I mean, I said it as well. Business-wise, they should have greenlit a sequel. So why don't you think that they did then? Because that, you know, Tom says after post sales, but then they that's 2019. It's around the time that Disney Plus then started to become a thing. COVID happened as well. Why would they not greenlight a sequel? It does seem odd, aside from Will Smith, but that happened last year. So.
Well, we all know why they're making the live action versions. I mean, it's to protect their IP, to protect their story
as well.
Yeah.
Laziness.
So if they are making a shot for shot remake of something, they can protect the IP because nobody else can steal their look and feel of their thing. That's all it is. So when you look at why these things are greenlit in the first place, it's so that they don't lose their stories. Disney is in danger of maybe losing characters, but not their stories.
Well, it's not even so much that as the re-releases hadn't been doing as well as they had hoped the last few times, but they also had kind of, this is where I was saying about like they were pissed about DVD because DVD didn't wear out like VHS did. So they couldn't keep re-releasing the movies over and over again. Like they tried, but they didn't sell quite like they would before because no reason to be rebuying them unless you're a Disney nerd.
But they
care about the upgrade.
But they innovated, right? And so with the next version, when they released it from the vault, it came with some special features that weren't featured before.
But that wasn't what they wanted. They wanted these movies to come out and make the kind of money and it was basically, the first couple remakes of Maleficent doing so well and stuff like that really pushed this. And I don't have an answer as to why they haven't done an Aladdin 2 yet, because let's look at real quick what he's saying, or finish off your point there, Culture.
I just wanted to add to what you're saying. Maleficent was star driven. See, this is where we start to have this conversation.
I know you keep bringing up the star driven, but at the end of the day, outside of the adults, kids don't give a shit.
No, but
they don't care.
Who takes them to the films?
Yeah, but that's not who really is driving these sales at the end of the day. Yes, there's the Disney nerds and stuff like that, but it's the 7-year-old girls because there's always a new crop of them. Disney has known that.
Who's buying the toys? Who's buying the merchandise? It's the parents.
Generally speaking, Tom. Yeah, there's new girls. There's new.
Well, that's the whole point. Is they used to be able to recycle this stuff every few years. That was what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, I agree. But right. Yeah.
It kind of hit a stagnant point. Plus, the other thing that they kept running into was, according to them, kids didn't like 2D animation because it was old timey. So that was their options.
So they moved to 2.5D from Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
God, and that looks so trash.
Don't even get me started on that.
Across the Spider-Verse looks like trash.
Spider-Verse is not. Anyway. The first film didn't do. We'll see how this sequel does because the first film didn't really make any money.
We digress a little bit here.
Yeah. Like I had a point I was gonna get to, but now we've gone way past it. But
let's get back to him being chased off Twitter because I mean,
he did say that our movie made $1 billion despite its opening, right? So what he was talking about is the film did have kind of a soft opening, but word of mouth and stuff like that carried the movie on. When people said, "Oh, it's actually better than you'd think it would be," then more people went to see it. I think what he's saying is people aren't going to do that here with this film. You guys may be right. He may be right. I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. I have this feeling the Disney nerds are going to make sure this movie makes $1 billion. And this is where the adults come in over the kids.
No, I agree with you. Tom, if you were a little girl, would you go see this movie more than once?
Tom is a little girl. Don't misgender him. All right.
Sometimes I feel like a little girl. Sometimes I don't.
You think this is the H-cast as a podcast? This isn't. This is episode 34 of Tom's Girlhood. All right.
When do I get my Bud Light can? Damn it! No, I mean, just never underestimate. Kids don't care about the kind of crap we do. Now, granted, are there going to be some kids that say that don't look like Ariel? I'm sure they will. That's not going to be enough to deter them from wanting to see this movie because guess what? Kids want to do what their friends are doing. And if one or two of their friends go see this movie and say it's the best thing ever, then their friends are going to want to go. Right. And you got to remember, when you're a kid, every movie you see is the best movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's true.
So unless the parents keep their kids away from this movie, that's the only chance this movie has of not making $1 billion. Yeah, because it's almost like a foregone conclusion, but I think they're tempering their expectations a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, either way, to not sort of get into this too much. Either way, definitely shouldn't have been hounded off Twitter. He should have gone off Twitter. He should have stayed on there because ultimately he didn't say anything wrong. It's
No,
just
he
an
didn't.
estimate of what it is. And he's right in saying that. I mean, obviously it's his thoughts, but he's like, well, look, we made $1 billion. We still haven't got a sequel. I don't think that's going to make $1 billion, but I think it will get a sequel. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And it's absolutely absurd that he got sort of hounded off of Twitter for it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So much tolerance of minorities.
Yeah, man. Well, he's the wrong brown.
He's too light and he's got a penis.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
so let's shuffle on a little bit now. So yeah, I hope you're all well in the chat, guys. We've got 455 people here. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in. If you want to join in the show, support the show, literally help keep the lights on, because electric bills are really expensive in the UK. Super chats are a good way to do it, but you can join in the conversation as well. We will cover the super chats at the end of each segment, so please do chuck your thoughts down below in a super chat. But we're talking about box office, right? And this really surprised me. Let's talk about Transformers Rise of the Beast box office, because they're saying that it's going to be a failure. And this is all from Box Office Pro. And now Box Office Pro, just to preface this, did think that Mario would be a bomb as well. I don't know why. Their projections are absolute garbage on this. They really are. So I don't understand. Like, an FYI, right? I don't think this movie looks good. This is being as objective as I possibly can be. I think this movie looks crap. But I tell you what, I fucking know everyone's really excited for it. So I think I don't see where they're getting their numbers from. I just don't see it. So according to Box Office Pro, Transformers Rise of the Beast is projected to open with $30 to $40 million opening weekend in the States for only a $61 to $90 million lifetime US domestic box office.
Wow, that's a little low.
A little low?
Where's the?
Is this some kind of scheme to boost Paramount stock, or what's the deal here? I mean,
mate, I got no idea. So they're saying early tracking and pre-sales for Rise of the Beast are on par with Morbius, Dark Phoenix, Dark Fate, and other box office flops. Transformers Rise of the Beast tracking is comparable to Shazam 2, which bombed after earning $133 million worldwide. That's so funny. And as previously mentioned, Transformers Rise of the Beast also faces considerable competition in June from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash. I don't think it does. I think they don't really cross over that a little bit from The Flash, but not the Spider-Verse. I don't think the Spider-Verse.
Actually,
how do
I'll agree.
You see this? I don't see this being a bomb.
I see the crossover there because look, going off of what I just said before, but
$100 million.
Replace girls with boys. There's a new crop every few years, and guess what? There's one thing I know boys love more than anything, and that's robots and cars. And if they can transform into either, you're golden. And then add in beasts and monsters. Shit, yes. I don't know where they're getting this number from, because even in their worst case scenario, this movie's gonna make its money back. It might not quite hit the billion because of Bumblebee, whatever they're figuring, but that's wrong, because Bumblebee was loved by fans.
So this is their reasoning, right? They're like, well, the last Michael Bay movie didn't do very well, and then Bumblebee didn't do very well. It's like, yes, but everyone loved Bumblebee, and it didn't do very well because everyone was sick of Michael Bay. Yeah. Then Bumblebee came out, and people were like, oh, fuck me, this isn't Michael Bay. Brilliant. Right? So that's why people liked it.
And this seems to be like a bridge between the two, so I guess take your pick here.
How can they not even think it's going to do $100 million domestic? I mean,
well, really? And that's where I was saying before, is even if you lose a lot of the adults that went to the first few films, it doesn't matter. This franchise has a bunch of new kids that are involved now.
And it's got massive international support.
Oh, besides that, yeah. I mean, the international support for this movie is enormous. Like, I don't see this movie flopping by any means. I don't understand this projected unless they're doing some kind of favor for somebody in their projections.
They have to, because a $30 to $40 million domestic open versus the open they project for Across the Spider-Verse.
This is going to make 30 million on its first day or two.
Yeah, because I mean, they're saying Across the Spider-Verse will earn more money than this film. Yeah.
Newsflash, kids, the first movie didn't make any damn money, and this one's twice as long.
And they're projecting double what the first film did, plus 85. Across the Spider-Verse is projected for 85 to 105 million dollars right now.
For an opening?
Yeah, that's just a 3-day open. There's no way it's going to do that.
The original only did like 300 some million.
I know.
Yeah, worldwide,
and you know what? They're saying that this one will only do 325 million at the top end in domestically.
And I'll tell you another thing, Spider-Verse people are waking up to what I was saying during the first one. It's a lot more woke than you kids think it is.
No, this one's incredible.
This one's incredibly woke.
Yeah. I'm not even like I said.
And 2.5 hours long.
And it's not robots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, robots, boys, I don't know. That's a tough one. If you got to choose between Spider-Man and robots, that's the more competition. Flash is going to do okay because of Michael Keaton, but kids don't give a shit about Michael Keaton. We give a shit about Michael Keaton. That's the only reason that movie's going to do well. And it's only going to continue to do well if it's good. And I said, it's only going to take people long enough to realize, wait a minute here. I just got Man of Steel with boobs. What is this? They just tricked me with Michael Keaton. You know, that's really what it's going to boil down to. I'm sorry to say it. It may be fun when you get out of the theater, but you're going to realize it's going to be like one of those really good fast food meals, but then you're going to regret eating it later. I think that's going to be the reaction most people have with it.
Yeah. I mean, loads of people are like, these films don't do very well domestically. Yeah, they do. So the last one, not the last one, but Revenge of the Fallen, its opening day domestically on a Wednesday, it did $62 million. Now, that's almost what they're projecting the entire
that doesn't compute
doing in the whole of its domestic run.
And that was before the big ticket jump too, right? Because Bumblebee's in between there.
Yeah. I mean, this was back in
2015, 16.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, so people said they do earn the majority of their money internationally, but domestically, Revenge of the Fallen did $402 million just domestically.
They
do okay domestically.
Yeah, because they're projecting less than a third. They're projecting this movie's going to make about a third of that, which is redonkulous.
Yeah, this look, and I think I see what's happening with these projections because it seems rather consistent. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 325 million top end domestic. The Little Mermaid, 305 million top end domestic, right? Yeah, I think they're really hedging a lot of bets. I think they've really adjusted their model to cut a lot of these films off at the knees. I think it's being done artificially. I think they're because they've been wrong so often. And
they thought Super Mario Brothers was going to bomb as well.
That's insane. And
it's bizarre.
We were calling that thing it's going to be over $1 billion. There's over $1 billion. Been saying it for
we're saying that. Yeah, we're saying that.
I think they underestimated the appeal of Mario. Same thing here. I think they're underestimating the appeal.
Robots.
Because there's one thing I've noticed, and that is that two things don't really change in the toy section. Like I pointed out, kids love monsters and such. That's why Godzilla and Kong has a section still and has had a section since King of the Monsters. It hasn't moved.
Yep.
Transformers, same business.
Legendary does big money on their merchandise. That's a massive earner for them. That's why they're constantly putting that.
They were the first ones to really pivot, and they did it in a smart way because they're like, what are we doing wrong here with Godzilla 2014? It's like, well, first of all, you didn't show the monster. So that means kids were not interested. They don't want to sit through a boring ass movie for 2.5 hours for 20 minutes of a glance at the monster. They want to see the monsters fight. And then when they're done seeing those monsters fight, they want mom and dad to take them to the store so they can buy those two monsters so then they can take them home and fight. That's why.
Same thing with
And those
robots.
toys sold like hotcakes, and they continue to.
Yeah, monsters and robots. Tom's 100% right. That's where you make your money. Disney stopped making money on their merchandise because they lost the plot. They lost the audience. That for the kids that go into the toy store and they want the monsters and they want the monsters.
Well, don't forget dinosaurs, but that plays perfectly with Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want those things? Those are mostly boys. Yes, the girls will do it too, but it's mostly boys. You've lost the boy audience, guys. You wonder why your merch sales are down? There you go. Enjoy your Princess Fest because that's it.
Yeah. I don't see this being not even breaking $100 million domestic. I don't see that at all.
I think that's its opening weekend, easy. Especially considering how these Marvel movies have been playing. How can you sit here and go, oh, the new Transformers movie ain't going to do that? Bull crap. I bet it plays just as well as better than the new Ant-Man movie did. Yeah. I mean, the only thing it's got going against it is its length, right? And I mean,
is it long?
Again,
really?
It's like, again, I think it's another 2 hour and 40-minute movie.
No.
From what I heard, something like that. Yeah.
No way.
Well, and that's the thing with a lot of these movies lately. You got to remember, they get chunky.
No, 2 hours 7.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they then it's not as long as I thought. Somebody had reported it was really long. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Well, still, I mean, honestly, you can sit in a 2 hour long film and still.
So that's even shorter than Spider-Verse then.
Oh, well, some people are saying it's 1 hour 57 minutes. Actually,
that's even better.
Well, then they cut it down even more. Well, I've noticed this lately. The studios have gotten smart again. Warner Brothers used to have this stipulation, and I think Universal did too. No movie goes out this door that's more than 2 hours long.
Yeah. 1 hour 57 is the 1 hour 57 is what a lot of people are saying now. That seems to be the unified, and then probably 10 minutes of credits. So 150. Yeah, so 157. That's what people are saying. So yeah, 157. $100 million domestic opener, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon.
Especially if it's shorter than I thought, because I'd heard early reports that it was longer than that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were talking already about Spider-Verse being the longest animated kids movie ever. It's like, Jesus. Why would you do that to yourselves?
It can't be, because Avatar is the longest kids movie, isn't it? Well, that's true though. That was a joke.
Technically, but they got live actors in that. Unfortunately, I think that.
Oh fuck it! All right, okay, fine. All right, whatever. My opinion. Right, okay. Let's shuffle on. So we've got a super chat here. John Apocalypse for £2 says, was a mistake for Rise of the Beast to not have T-Rex Megatron. Yeah, you are right. I mean, again, for merch sales, massively.
That'd be so cool.
For merch sales, hugely. I think not having Megatron in there is causing issues, or could potentially cause issues.
Megatron.
You know what, Tom? I just looked up into the spider or across.
No, I got to do this. Megatron.
Oh, that's better. Good. Cool. Like that. Yeah.
Frank Welker. He's a tough voice to do. He gets way down there when he does it. He can't even really do it himself anymore. Well, that's why they have other people help him do it sometimes.
Tom, real quick, I looked up Across the Spider-Verse. You're 100% right. It's
2 hours and 16 minutes. Yeah.
No, 220.
Holy shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, I just shared the story where it says it has the record for animated.
Oh,
that's long. Black Saber for $2 says maybe it's reverse psychology marketing. That'd be funny if it was, but I don't think it is.
I mean, they're kind of doing Paramount a favor in a sense that when this movie comes out and shatters that expectation,
that's true.
We get the headlines, much like we did this last weekend with not this last with
Guardian.
With Guardians, where they're like, shatters expectations, So yeah.
That is true. That is true.
I still argue that it didn't really shatter the expectations. It beat it by a few million.
No, but that's the most recent one I can kind of use an
I agree with you 100%. I mean, and the hold was crazy good, but the real competition hits this week, so I feel pretty comfortable in my prediction. But anyway, sorry. Side quest.
Nikki D for $5 says, have you gents seen the new trailer for Extraction 2? If so, what are your thoughts? The film looks refined enough to have a traditional theatrical release. Yeah, I have seen it. I can't really cover Netflix trailers on the channel because they copyright block.
They claim them.
So they're a tricky one to cover. So a lot of them, like I'll send a tweet out, for instance, and be like, "Oh, this looked good," or I'll mention it as a side note here or there, just briefly. But yeah, Extraction, it does look really good actually. There's a sequence on the train which looks a little bit green screeny, but might have been the screen I was watching it on. But look, all in all, I mean, you're talking about it, looking refined enough to have a traditional theatrical release. I agree, and I really like Chris Hemsworth. I think these movies solidify him as a true action star.
Yeah, they play well for him.
Yeah, and also the director, the ex-stuntman director that does a lot of this choreography stuff, literally straps himself to cars to do all the, the cinematography elements. Superb. Like there's nothing really like this being made at this point in time. The closest thing to it, and it's not like it, it's adjacent to it, is the John Wick stuff. In terms of what they do with their cinematography, but it's still not the same as Extraction. Extraction does incredibly long one-shot sequences. I was reading somewhere, 21 odd minutes. I mean, that's insane. But that's fucking hard to do. Excuse the language, but I mean there's an emphasis that I'm using it for a reason. That is so incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing like that being made. I think they're really good. Like I watched the first one again the other day. I like them a lot. I think they're really good. I'm game for this, and bring it on. Culture, thoughts?
No, I'm stoked. I'm looking forward to it too. The first one was great. I really enjoyed it. Holds up even after I've watched it now, I think a third time. I'm looking forward to the second film. The 21-minute scene is crazy long. I mean, that's not even, there's no exaggeration. Mr. H is 100% right there. It is. I can't even imagine an actor being on camera in frame that long, going through everything that they have to do.
Yeah.
That's
and also that not being just the first take. Remember?
No, it had to be
multiple takes of this thing. Yeah, multiple shots. They're not going to do it on the first take.
No, it's not like, and not everybody can be Keanu Reeves. A couple practice things and just go. But look, it's just gonna be amazing when we see it. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't see what you're talking about with the green screen in the train.
It's as he's thrown out of the train, his head's over the train. You can see it. It's a bit disjointed on the coloration, but only minimally. It might have been the screen I was on. I don't know. The colors might not be.
I wonder if they didn't dial in the blur. They probably didn't dial in the blur on that. But all right, fair enough.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think, mate?
Sadly, Extraction is one of those movies I haven't seen yet, and I have not seen the trailer for the second one since I haven't seen the first one. So, but it's on my list to watch, though. It's been recommended a few times. Yeah. Sorry, I can't answer you.
No.
All right then. I was hoping you'd talk a little bit longer.
My bad. I had an Extraction once. It really hurt.
No, it's fine. Let's move on. So anyway, fucking hell. Moving on. So next topic. Just because we've been talking about this for a little while, this sort of seemingly solidifies that, I think personally, is the title for Dave Filoni's movie has reportedly been revealed, but in that reveal, this is all Filoni apparently, and Jon Favreau has basically just done a little bit of the story. So it's essentially Jon Favreau is out at Star Wars, which we've kind of known for a little while. It's not confirmed at this point in time. It's rumor. But the title of the movie, it's absolutely it's Heir to the Empire, guys, obviously. It's just Heir to the Empire. And it's tweeted out by My Time to Shine Hello, who's fairly reputable as a leaker. It says, shocker, not really. Dave Filoni's movie is called Star Wars Heir to the Empire. Jon Favreau is only producing for now. It's all Filoni. So he's not even doing story. And the thing is, just as an FYI, to sort of intertwine with the thought process as to why he is out at Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm, he will be on board as a producer because he established this universe. This movie is off the back of the Mandalorian universe, everything to do with the Mandalorian, all of those shows put together. And this was Jon Favreau's baby. So he has to have producer credits because he established it initially. It's that kind of I mean, he basically he gets it as a courtesy. He kind of has to have it. So that's probably why he's only got the producer credits. Apparently, it's all Filoni. That doesn't make sense to me unless he's out at Star Wars. Tom?
Yeah, we've heard this about a month ago, basically, and we did a report on it, and seemed pretty clear during Star Wars Celebration with the interviews that it was all about Dave. Dave. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but
Yeah.
In fact, I have the supercut right here if you want to check it out.
Well, you got a supercut,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, from our video from a month ago, yeah.
Each reference to both men.
I think people are really excited for Dave Filoni.
And we sat down and talked with Dave about it. You know what we're seeing, and Dave talked a lot about this. Obviously, John and Dave. You know, I wouldn't do it without Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave created so much of what was in Clone Wars and Rebels, and well, that's really building toward what Dave's doing in the feature space. Certainly, looking at what Dave's been doing with Ahsoka, he's, you know, what's great about Jim is he's a writer-director, much like Dave is. So that Dave is very influenced by Kurosawa and Japanese films. Dave.
Yeah, okay. The end, I kind of do some exaggerations there, but still, it is all about Dave. No John in there at all, hardly, you know, so. I mean, he did eventually show up at Disney Celebration, but it wasn't the first night. And then that's where Filoni had his weepy moment on stage. And we've been talking about this for a while, that it seems like Filoni has somewhat taken control over everything. Yeah.
Well, that's what it seems. Sorry, Culture, you go ahead. Man.
No, it's just a real bummer. I mean, and this is something we've talked about at length, you know, in more than one occasion here on this show, and obviously over on Midnight's Edge and stuff. Is it going to surprise anybody when this turns out to be accurate? No.
No. I mean, I think Favreau only on board as a producer. I think that speaks volumes to me. I think that is literally, you know, this is the culmination of things he set up, and yet he's not even on board doing any script treatments, any story any advisory consultation stuff, just as a producer. I mean, that speaks volumes. He must be out. He must be out at Star Wars. Otherwise, why? Like, what's why wouldn't you do that? Like, it's his thing.
Yeah, there's just it's a lot of downside for Disney right now. They don't have anything to hang their hat on right now. And I think Heir to the Empire, done the way they're going to have to do it, is going to be very, very bad.
And I mean, I think we pretty much have an answer as to what went down. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole background. You can check out the video on it if you want for more on that. But yeah, this all goes back to when Kathleen Kennedy was forced to drop Blood and Bone and concentrate on Lucasfilm. And at that point, I'm sure she was one of the people who buckled or was pressuring along with everybody else to get rid of Gina Carano, and that basically made this whole thing fall apart.
Yep.
At that point, I don't know if Favreau decided that he couldn't salvage this any better than he had already, or, you know, he had hit so much resistance that he just like, F it, I'm out.
At some point,
it's a number of those things I think could have factored into this. But yeah, in that process, Filoni had kind of basically taken over. Go ahead, Culture. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to add to what you're saying, Tom, and that's all I wanted to do was add. At some point, you lose energy to do any of it. You're just like, I'm not tired of banging my head against this wall. You know, I'll just find a different place to, you know, walk through.
And he's been through this before with Marvel, and he still played nice with them on the other side of it. So, I mean, I can't imagine he won't play nice with Star Wars. So again, like you said, Nate, we may never even see a clean break, right? We may never actually get anything where it states that, you know, as long as it's something to do with his universe, though, he will always be listed as a executive producer. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just like we're stuck with fucking Amy Pascal.
Pascal's another great example of this. Yeah. Even Kennedy herself, her name will be on Star Wars stuff for years to come.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think, I think he's done. I think he's done. Done.
Yep.
It's all about Dave. And I don't think he's the be-all and end-all for Star Wars either. I think he's got this weird boner for Ahsoka, and I've said it many times. The dude just needs to buy a fucking blow-up doll, get out of his system, and move on. Like,
he can afford
insertion of Ahsoka and everything is just fucking mind-numbing nowadays.
Well, he wants to insert. Yeah, I'm not going there. No, honestly, he's got the money. He could buy one of those Japanese, real life doll things.
Yeah,
Ahsoka style.
Yeah, could indeed. Could indeed. Yeah, ridiculous. But let's shuffle on now to something which some people will be dismayed about. I don't think anyone needs to be dismayed about this. Arnold Schwarzenegger confirms he's done playing Terminator, unsure about the Legend of Conan happening. Now, to talk about Terminator, for instance, I wouldn't be dismayed by this anyway, because he would have sold his likeness. Right, his likeness will always be wrapped up in the Terminator franchise. If he's done playing Terminator, that's fine. You'll still see elements of him in the franchise moving forwards because he would have sold his likeness. So if you're dismayed by that, don't be dismayed because he'll always be around. But him being done playing Terminator, he needs to be done playing Terminator. He's aged out of the part. Yeah, he's just aged out of the part. So basically, speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, and he said that the franchise is not done. I'm done. Fine. I got the message loud and clear that the world wants to move on with a different theme when it comes to the Terminator. Someone has to come up with a great idea. The Terminator was largely responsible for my success, so I always would look at it very fondly. The first 3 movies were great. I love the fact that
surprised you didn't ask me to do that in Schwarzenegger voice.
No. Number 4, Salvation, I was not in because I was governor. Then 5, Genesis, I know it's Genesis, and 6, Dark Fate, didn't close the deal as far as I'm concerned. We knew that ahead of time because they're just not well written. Fuck off, you butthole. Why did you fucking sign on to them then, you absolute twat?
Because I like money.
Oh, it really annoys me when they say this. Oh, it really annoys me. It's like, you fucking
I have a little horse I have a little horsey to feed. It's not cheap.
Really, God, it really annoys me.
Well, I mean, is it worse that he says that, or worse that James Cameron came out and kissed those movies' ass, knowing full well they were shit?
And then later in retrospect, even said it. Yeah, no, I literally just did it to support Arnold. You fucking God. Whatever.
Yeah, guy in ISIS or Geen ISIS was so bad.
I will argue that the last film could have been a good film.
Yes.
The problem was them trying to usurp John Connor from the whole equation, because you didn't even have to do it that way. It couldn't even have been. Look, and I'll keep this as brief as possible. All you had to do is look at it in a situation that, they changed how things went, but they never stopped Skynet from taking over. They just changed the time period. So now that John is this wasted, burnt out guy, just like the real actor is, you play that into the part. He's like, Mom, you ruined me. You set me up to be this grand leader that I never became, and I could never even get a normal job. And then you come to find out that he has this daughter with what's her face, the one that was played by 3 different people now. Bryce Dallas Howard played her in Salvation or whatever, the one chick that he ends up with in every version. Basically, you have a daughter with him that he doesn't even know exists, right? And then he sacrifices himself saving her. And then who's left to train her but Sarah Connor? Because now Sarah Connor realizes, Judgment Day's coming. It's just coming later. And now this kid has to be trained to take over as the future leader. Well, who better than grandma? Right? I mean, that's how you play it into it. It could have been much. Killing him as a kid was an insult. And then just having some nobody come in and take his place was even more of an insult. Right? I don't think people would have had as much of a problem if the new character had been a relation to the Connor family.
And what's her name? Mackenzie something? the chick that picked up.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but yeah,
became the
Catherine
protector.
Brewster. Thank you for the other one. That's the old name I was looking for.
She was the new Protector Terminator chick. I mean,
the LGBTQ 1000.
Yes, yeah, that was
Mackenzie Davis. She's a good. I like Mackenzie Davis. She's a good actor.
She was in Halt and Catch Fire, right? I mean,
Blade Runner 2049 as well.
She was pretty good in that, but I just it's like none of anything I saw on the screen in that film was good. None of it was believable. None of it was delivered with passion.
But that was Arnold's last chance, and I think at this point the only chance this franchise has is a TV series again.
They're doing that. They're doing an anime.
Yeah.
Animators are doing it.
He can always come back as an upholstery,
That was the other thing, is he was written as a complete cucked out robot. I'm sorry, it was
a literal
horrible.
Cuck, yeah, it was a literal cuck, yeah.
He was an interior designer.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I don't know. I just, it annoys me. It annoys me that he's like, yeah, we knew that ahead of time because they just weren't well written. Well, fucking don't sign on to it then, for starters. What are you doing? But they comment a little bit. He comments a bit further about Conan thing. So he says, for the Legend of Conan, he says it's been pending for the last 10 years. Frederick Malmberg owns the rights. He comes to me and says, "Oh, I have a deal with Netflix." And when we ask Netflix, they don't know anything about it. It's one of those crazy things. I hope he figures it out. There's a great script out there that John Milius wrote, and others have written one. The story is there. There are directors who want to do it, but he has the rights, and until he sells the rights for one or two movies or for the franchise, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, look, I know you want to chime in there, Tom, real quick, but
no, actually, don't.
Okay, well, look, at the end of the day, to say that, I mean, this is throwing massive shade on Malmberg, like huge shade on Malmberg. He doesn't have to sell the rights. He doesn't have to fucking sell the rights.
No.
This is a power grab by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And look, I'm a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was a big fan, inspired me to do weightlifting and things like this. But this is a fucking dick move by Arnie. It's a real dick move. It's him trying to push and maneuver the rights holder to bow to him, basically, bow to pressure, bow to fan pressure, get headlines. It's a headline grabber. I mean, we're covering it, obviously, but it's a real dick move. He doesn't have to sell the fucking rights. He doesn't have to at all. And yeah, there might be good scripts out there, but he doesn't have to sell the rights. He can get it produced. He can get it done. And literally said we should sell the rights for the whole franchise. Piss off, Arnold.
No.
Piss off. What? Yeah, I'll just sell something which is no. That's a bad business move. You're a businessman yourself. You have made. I remember back in the day. This won't appeal to a lot of people, but it will to me. Back in the day, Arnold made a supplement brand, and some of them were so good, the protein bars and stuff like that. But then they got banned in certain countries because of ingredients listing was wrong and stuff like this. And so he's a shrewd businessman himself. He puts his name on anything to get a quick buck. To push and maneuver Malmberg to sell the rights is a real dick move. Saying about Netflix, I don't know the ins and outs of that. Do you know the ins and outs of this, Tom? Let me know what you think, Tom.
Okay, what I can say is this. I mean, look, we got an update in the works right now. Frederick has responded to this. He has his quick response was, great article. We spent 3 years with Netflix and talked to them about Arnold several times. We are now working with a major filmmaker who is great and a true Conan fan. We'll share more when I can by Crom. And we're going to be talking about it very soon. What I can say is this: Arnold's on a apology tour right now. If you guys remember what he said before, screw your freedom.
Yeah,
he's on an apology tour from that right now. And you want to know what happened to his Conan project? It was clean sailing, and I'm gonna channel my inner Andre right now because he would have said this right now if he was here. I bet it's his fault and the Terminator's fault. We did not get that Conan movie because of his bad decisions to make those shitty movies. Genesis killed all momentum that movie had.
Yeah.
Universal's did not want to take a chance after Terminator did what it did and bombed at the box office. They didn't think that the appeal was there. I do know Frederick has been working on a lot of things behind the scenes. All I can say is this: they were talking to Netflix last we knew. That's all I can say for now. I do know Frederick wants to use Arnold in some capacity. I can't say anything else. We will have more details on that soon, very, very soon. I agree with you though. This was kind of a shitty move on Arnold's part because it is kind of calling out Frederick when his initial call to Netflix may have been to probably hopefully help get something going, when I'm not so sure that's what happened. So again, I can't say any more than that. I really wish I could, but stay tuned. We've got more coming. And I don't know exactly what Andre's been okayed to say yet, so that's why I have to be very, whatever on this. But
yeah, that's fair enough. Culture, do you want to jump in on this? Because I've sort of rabbited on a little bit.
I'm not going to be able to add much. I mean, I'm glad he's not playing Terminator anymore. I thought it was, he disserviced him in the last couple of films. I don't think I'm wrong there. Especially the last one was terrible.
Well, apparently he knew it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And Conan, I want new Conan. I've wanted new Conan for a long time. I mean, so if this works out and we end up with some kind of Conan project, that's great. If Arnold's in it, that's great. If he's not in it, okay. We're so far separated from the last Conan film that if somebody else were cast as Conan, it wouldn't matter. If they bring him in as Conan, it wouldn't matter. To me, none of that matters. Look, if that news moves forward and Tom is able to source everything out, I'd love to hear a story about it. So,
we got the direct source, yeah.
So I'm not super crazy worried about it. I don't know what to say. I mean, if they want to use him forever, you're 100% right. They can. If they have his likeness out there, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's shuffle on to some super chats here from Gary. Nice to have you on, dude. Thank you everyone for the super chats. We've had a really good turnout this podcast. So for those that aren't aware, we do this podcast twice a week. It's a live podcast with a great panel. Everyone's channels are linked down below. So you've got Culture Casino, who's obviously just been talking. You've got Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge After Dark. If you like their input, please do check them out down below. Check their channels out and hit subscribe. You obviously enjoy them enough to be here. So boost their own stuff. Encourage them to come back by subscribing to the channels. It goes a long way. It also helps me out. So if you're liking what I do here with this show, it encourages them to come back. So do me a solid. But also, check out the second channel in the description box, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. It's where this podcast goes and all the best bits go up there as well. So thank you everyone for supporting with super chats. It goes a long way. Thank you so much. So Gary for £5 says, if they miss the opportunity to call the new kaiju King something and then give Kong the name King Kong when he wins, I'll be disappointed. Didn't they sort of do that in the last one? Said about the king element? I swear they did. Oh God, racking my brains on that.
They
just
alluded to it, but here's the thing: is they can't call him King Kong. That's the catch. King Kong's rights are so convoluted. It's not even funny. This goes all the way back to Universal trying to sue Nintendo. Then they found out that they didn't technically own all the rights, and then Warner Brothers owns certain rights, and it is a mess. But basically, from my understanding, Universal is the only one who can use the title King Kong. But they can do whatever story they want over at Warner Brothers. They can call it Kong or Kong whatever, Godzilla versus Kong, anything else, as long as it ain't King Kong. So they can allude to him being a king a lot, but I don't think he'll ever be called King Kong unless they cut a check to Universal, which I don't think they will, because the character's so close to public domain at this point.
Well, they don't need to cut a check. This is the thing. They've established their own thing, and they won't cut a check to Universal because they're cutting checks to Toho for Godzilla.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Big checks to Toho. So yeah. Israel for $5 says, hello, Mr. H. Tom Culture. Do you think that the Shadow of the Empire novel game would have made a good Star Wars movie? I'm not familiar with the Shadow of the Empire. Anyone? Are you familiar
Not
with this?
really. I've never been a big extended universe person, so.
Hmm.
And gaming wise, I'm trying to remember if I played that game at all or not. Is that the one with? Yeah, I think I played part of the first one and I got stuck on a part. I never went back to it. And then when I bought the second one, and then somebody told me it was all like a dream or some shit, and I'm like, well, that's kind of pointless.
That sounds
If
crap.
that's the one I'm thinking of,
Oh,
or
all right
something
then.
like that.
Well, I don't know, so I'm not going to say that it could make a good.
Yeah, Dash
Star Wars
Rendar.
movie.
Then I think that's the one I think it is. Well, the first one wasn't too bad of a story. It just I got stuck on a part of the game and I couldn't get through it.
WCW for $1.99 says at least
Is
he
that the
didn't let
wrong one?
Shane,
Okay, I'm sorry.
at least he didn't let Shane Black ruin Dutch. That is true. Well, that would be Fox not allowing them. Oh no, true. Actually, yeah. So what WCW is referring to there is Arnold Schwarzenegger choosing not to come back for The Predator because of how it was written. His character.
He was supposed to be in The Predators too.
Yes, yeah, he was actually. Yeah,
the Lawrence Fishburne role.
Yeah, which would have been arguably a better role for him. But
it would have helped elevate that movie. I agree.
Yeah. So last but not least, we have something which is just broken, which I thought we would dive in here just before we close the podcast. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is already available on 4K Blu-ray DVD. Already.
Yeah.
That's fucking really quick.
The last two were really quick too.
Was it? Because this is, to me, is staggering.
Well, there's a new window that we've discussed a few times. I want to find the exacts, but I believe it's a 45-day window that the deal they have with theaters now, and they pulled this one quite early when they knew it wasn't going to make any money.
Yeah.
So this is not surprising in the least.
I guess I don't buy physical media that much these days, so this is news to me.
Well, it's been on streaming now for what, a month, Culture? Or he might not be back yet.
No, he's not.
It's been on streaming on video on demand for close to a month now, so yeah, I'm not surprised.
So, but they haven't the deleted scenes of Drink the Ooze and I Have Holes, but that's it. So they don't even have the stuff out, the former ending that they cut. So I don't know. I just saw it and I was like, wow, that's shocking. To me, it's shocking, but apparently not to anyone else. It's pretty normal for everyone
Marvel's usually pretty well, it's not normal actually, but it's normal of Disney and Marvel lately, sadly. Now, I don't think Guardians is going to come out that fast unless it really walks off a cliff here in the next few weeks, but no.
Gary for £5 says there is a giant octopus in the Meg 2 trailer. Are they setting up a universe? No. So I think that so the opener is how the book opened initially, I think. So the opening to that trailer is how the first movie should have opened, was sort of setting the stage. Because it's how the book originally opened, if I remember rightly. I don't know the ins and outs of it. But in terms of the giant octopus, I don't know exactly. I don't think they're not setting up a universe per se. I just feel like they're just trying to go balls to the wall. Bigger is better, right? That's kind of what they always say about this. Is a sequel always has to go a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. Where'd you go from where they went last time? Well, let's get even more animals. Let's get even bigger, bigger creatures. So I think that's all that they're doing. I think that's the thought process behind it. But I'm not hugely familiar with it. I mean, WCW says the opener is the first scene from the book. Yeah, that's what I thought. So there you go. That about wraps it up here now, to be honest, as Culture comes back and my back is absolutely shot to pieces.
Oh, no.
I know, yeah. So we will round out the podcast now. Guys, in the description box down below, you will find the second channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. Hit subscribe down there. The whole podcast goes there. They don't stay on the main channel. You won't find them. So they go there, as well as all the best bits and clips. So if you missed anything, I chop them up. I spend a long time chopping them up. So they all get put there. So head on over and hit subscribe. Everett's channel is linked down there as well. So Nick, who couldn't join us today, his channel, Echo Based Network, Culture Casino, and Todd Connors. What have you got coming up, guys? Let us know what you got going on.
Midnight's Edge After Dark in about 40 minutes or so.
Yep. And I may or may
Perfect.
not be there. I'll maybe tied up in a production meeting, but I will be. I dropped a video today on streaming. Tomorrow I'm going to drop a video on streaming, and I'll drop a third video on streaming. I'm doing a 3-part series on streaming, so 3 different types of videos. So I feel like I will have it covered at that point. So just keep it out, look out for those. But part 1 is out there now. You can see it. Streaming hits the reset button. So there you go.
There we go. I can see people saying that they missed the stream. The stream is exactly the same time every single week, the same time, same days. So Tuesday, it starts at 9 p.m. UK time. That's when it starts on Tuesdays. It's always the same every single week, 9 p.m. UK time. Unless there's extenuating circumstances, it is always on at exactly that time. Thursdays, it starts 2 hours earlier at 7 p.m. UK time. And it does that because we need to get out of the way of other YouTubers streaming that you may want to watch that are much larger than myself. And I'm not going to try and compete for viewership. You guys will undoubtedly want to watch them. That just is what it is. That just is what it is. So we start 2 hours earlier at 7 p.m. UK time on a Thursday. But thank you all, everyone, for watching the stream. Do appreciate it. Again, hit the like button on your way out. From me and everyone else, though, thank you so much. Take care. Peace out. Bye-bye now.